An image that reminds you of the night of the 2015 USL Cup Championship. The Kodak Building in the distance, an international flair in the forefront. Toronto FC2 is in Rochester, a day of celebration, a return of pro soccer, at least for the day. They're looking for their first win against the Riverhounds of Pittsburgh, who are the last remaining undefeated team in the USL and could jump into second with a victory today. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Matt Stubbington alongside Mike Watts with you from Marina Auto Stadium. And if you think about this Riverhounds team, they're off to the best start in franchise history. Part of the reason Bob Lilly making the move from Rochester, he brought a lot more than just some players with him.
Such an experienced coach. He's known for his defensive presence on the pitch as far as the teams that he puts out are concerned. They're finding their scoring ways as well. So expect this team to be really tough to break down, but they're also going to put some balls in the back of the net.
He brought 7 members, that 2017 Rhinos team with him. Perhaps colloquially, you could call them the Pittsburgh River Rhinos as they're constituted right now. On the other side for Toronto, man, they're just trying to figure it out, aren't they?
Well, there's been a lot of rotation in the roster. It makes it very difficult to make a consistent performance on the pitch. They are finding ways to put the ball in and around the box, but they're not finding ways to be consistent as far as putting the ball in the back of the net. Laurent Guyot's team have to figure that out tonight, or it's going to be a very long performance for them against this tough Riverhounds team.
All 11 players in the starting lineup for Toronto FC2 played in their most recent. Always say that. They're looking for their first win against a Riverhounds team that have always had their number in a locale they very rarely found a result. It's Pittsburgh and Toronto coming up next.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
A lot of ask us what different. To mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. Shop Joyce's. I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
Era unleashed at Highmark Stadium for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club. Join the Riverhounds and Allegheny Health Network on May 11th against the Indy 11 for a Mother's Day celebration and Women's Health Night. The first 1,000 women through the door will receive a special Mother's Day card presented by Allegheny Health Network. Visit riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
Ow.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That one a little bit.
A little bit right here?
Yeah, right there.
Well, it looks like we can treat this in just a cast. So is this your first time getting a cast?
Yes.
Does it feel nice?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Welcome back to Rochester, New York, as Toronto FC2 playing a home game away from home, away from BMO Field, taking on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are undefeated and can move as high as second place in the USL with a win here in Rochester. Nico Brett, last time these teams met, goodness gracious, he went off.
He did. He scored 3 of his 4 goals from the season against TFC2 last time out. He is an explosive player, but he also has composure in the box. You see from this goal here, takes the ball across his body and finishes it beautifully with his left foot. Mind in and around the 18 is so important for a goal outlet player for the back line of TFC2, and then Malik Johnson has to get up in support. The important thing, I just talked about Brett having composure in the box. For the Riverhounds, these 2 players have to have composure in the box to finish the chances that TFC2 will create tonight. but they have to find a way to put the ball in the back of the net. 2 goals on the season isn't going to get it done.
A look at the starting lineups, and a handful of players have continued their run of playing every minute this year to this point, including Vanka Yazil, who is in that central holding midfield position for the moment.
He is. We might see him in different places on the pitch as well. He has played in the back line and in the front three this season for Bob Lilly. He's an important part of what Bob Lilly does.
And notably, Francois and Forbes, former Rhinos, on the outside. Will they have their moment? For TFC2, we mentioned it here at the outset. All 11 players on the field did see the field in their most recent game, the 0-0 draw with Red Bulls 2, which really made them feel pretty good.
It's going to be important tonight. You have to have consistency of lineup to be able to put consistent performance out on the pitch, and it's very difficult for TFC2 to put out that lineup match in, match out, but they're able to do so tonight. Look for number 59, Okello. He's a very important player for them in the midfield in that holding role.
Flags waving in the distance. Toronto FC2 going south of the border. Pittsburgh, last time these teams met, played host to this matchup, despite the fact it was another Toronto home game in the end. Both meetings that were slated for Toronto will be played away from Toronto. Laurent Gaillou is the head coach for TFC2. The former academy director with experience playing in the top division in France. Bob Lilly at the middle of this huddle. And there are few players and coaches that can change an entire franchise in a moment's notice. When Bob Lilly, the week after USL Cup, made the announcement that he was going to move to Pittsburgh, everyone knew all of a sudden this is probably a playoff team.
He brings such pedigree to the position in Pittsburgh. He's so experienced, a great, huge personality, knows what he's doing as far as coaching is concerned, and we've seen the results of it. They're the last remaining unbeaten team in the league.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
3 wins, 3 draws. They've picked up 2 draws away from home, and they were raucous atmospheres away to Nashville and away to Cincinnati, 2 of the top 3 teams in the USL in attendance to this point. As some of the Rhino faithful, certainly some Pittsburgh and some Toronto fans sprinkled in too, made it out to Marina Auto Stadium in Rochester, New York. Underway, Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the black and gold, Toronto in the all red, as we're underway in Rochester, New York at Marina Auto Stadium. There are few locales in the United States that have more of a history of the beautiful game than Rochester. They've won U.S. Open Cups. They've won 4 USL titles, including 1 in the modern era. And, well, it's important to see pro soccer here in 2018 during the hiatus for the Rhinos. Ball goes back to Dan Lind, a former U9 Rochester Junior Rhino, playing now for Pittsburgh. All the way to Caleb Patterson-Sewell. Gets the start for the 3rd time this year. While Angelou Cavaluzzo did not make the trip. Cello gave chase all the way back to Lind, and early pressure from TFC2.
That's good to see from TFC2. Times they've been a bit lackadaisical for me this season and haven't put the energy forward, so it's good to see a positive start from them.
Collected by Dunn, and now Anconi. Throw goes to Andrew Lubon. It's his 2nd start and 1st in 2.5 weeks since the Ottawa match for Pittsburgh. How about Bob Lilly didn't even flinch when that ball came his way? Lubon launches, steered into the 18. Kevin Kerr gave chase.
was cleared over the byline for a corner kick. First set piece opportunity Kerr will take.
No Riverhounds players played more minutes than Kevin Kerr. In the third minute, drives the corner. Headed into the 18, and cleared again. This time by Julian Dunn. It's his second start of the year, the 17-year-old Toronto native. Kerr again. And the second clearance a little more convincing. Meanle. Aiden Daniels. Daniels cutting and lost it to Dover.
Wrong choice made by Daniels there. Had Spencer running in front of him and they had Johnson to his right. Johnson had momentarily strayed offside, so took himself out of the play, but recycled his run. Daniels just kept the ball too long. Should have looked for a pass, try to release Spencer into space.
Ball for Luban is off the mark, and Anconi set to take over, the Swiss native.
Good team defense there from TFC2. Ben Spencer just angling his run, taking away the switch ball, and then Malik Johnson stepping up onto the outside back, forcing the errant pass. Not necessarily to win the ball off of the tackle, Mike, but wins the ball off of the throw-in.
Knocked away from the Argentine Mino. And for Pittsburgh, it's a goal kick. A team that amazingly has not trailed this year in what amounts to 544 plus minutes now. Led ahead by Vanka Yazil. Kept in by Nico Brett. Ball for Forbes. Francois got a touch. And collected by Luban. Knocked wide by Zemansky. Back into the starting lineup. Week ahead of his 30th birthday. Spencer with Hugh Roberts in pursuit. Roberts' first start for Pittsburgh. Dispossessed, Kennardo Forbes. Malik Johnson. Luban was trying to shade him outside. Vanka Yazil giving chase. Now Luban throws Johnson aside. Forbes goes down. The challenge from Alan Mariano Mino.
The whole sequence started with Mino winning the ball back, putting the challenge on Forbes. That one he didn't do cleanly. In the end, it was a good double team. Vanka Huziel, in conjunction with Dover, with a great double team in the corner. You and I talked before the game how I was going to struggle with his name at some point.
Yazil.
I will take it slowly, see if I get it right.
The attack is on through Francois. He's making his run. Slid away, but Francois takes over again. He's got Dover behind him. Francois got the cross in. No, he didn't. Had gotten over the byline first. 6 assists last year in 12 games, but injuries slowed him for the Rhinos. Kyle Bjornathan in on defense.
Jonathan a little lucky there. He went to ground. Francois almost made him pay for his error. And yeah, Jonathan recovered his position well, able to win the goal kick.
Canardo Forbes, jersey tugged, got it wide. Nico Bratt plays it back across and could not keep it in play. Well, Pittsburgh started to get a little more taste of the offensive end of late.
That was good movement there from Brett. Pulled his away from the defender, created the angle for the pass, but the ball from Forbes, even though it was offside, should have been played on the turf.
Daniels held outside by Jordan Dover. Taken away by Zemansky. A chance to break out here for Pittsburgh. Up the right-hand side. The shot deflects away from Cristiano Francois. And out for a Riverhound corner.
Oskovic standing tall and strong in the challenge. Again, has to have some more industry in the runs there from the Riverhounds to create the angle of support for the pass, open up the channels.
Kevin Kerr will take these from both sides of the field. Kerr aimed for Forbes. Well, the story for Toronto FC2 this year, large in part, fairly strong first halves. Kept it close more often than not going into the second half. Basically every game this year. In a couple games, their second halves, the wheels have just come off when the games start to get a bit stretched. Certainly the case in the earlier Pittsburgh meeting. Finished 4-0, but Bob Lilly, first to say that first hour, anybody's game in truth.
The latter part of the game, Pittsburgh really blew the doors off TFC2. Again, we've mentioned it, the rotation of the players. It's tough to maintain the communication and the consistency of performance. Some of those players that have rotated in are young and inexperienced as well. So it's pretty much a baptism of fire at this level. It's a great forum to learn the game, but it's also a hard lesson to learn on occasion.
Hugh Roberts goes falling into the bench. And Lubon have to start again.
I bet you he throws it in from where he just threw it in. There he goes. He's going for a walk again. Keep going.
Got across midfield.
It's just about where he was before.
Yeah. Here's Dover. That's a familiar area of the field to him. Dover trying to break through. Kerr lays it back. And now Bratt! 4 goals against Toronto this year. The hat trick and now the opener in Rochester.
Frustration for Patterson, Sewell. The composure of Brett. I thought the moment had passed by a little bit, a fortuitous deflection. Kerr looks up, cuts it back. That's where I thought the moment had passed by, as Dunn was there to deflect the ball, but it still found its way onto the foot of Brett. He just allows that ball to spin in front of him and then puts his right foot through the back of the ball in the back of the net. Fantastic start for the Riverhounds.
And he's thinking, why can't I play Toronto every game? Well, the Jamaican just seems to have a way against TFC2, doesn't he?
He's got the knack for scoring goals. So got the knack for scoring goals against their opponents today.
I went to Robert Morris in Pittsburgh, latched on to Portland as a draft pick, and then had to trial in Pittsburgh, signed in late February, and really impressed. Well, is there a response here for Toronto? Could this game follow the same tired path? Yazil goes down, a Frenchman with a French-Ghanaian passport.
On that occasion, Ben Spencer, the approach to the ball didn't have the angle on it to stop the switching of the point of attack.
Francois. Kerr overlaps. The cross is handled by Bjornathan. Well, at least someone is going to say where the ball should get thrown in. That ball wasn't tossed. That ball was put on the spot.
I was watching the coach before the game was giving instructions as to how the ball was put down. I say that young man listened to exactly what he was told to do.
Back for Lind. Canardo, Forbes. Well, Luban's been running outside the lines. Now he's available on the overlap. Luban. And nearly again for Nico Brett.
Well, Brett's got a lot of confidence, was trying to let that ball run across his body and put it in with his right peg. Would have been best paid there to just have a crack as that ball was coming in.
Forbes looking to lace that through. Yazil on the ball again. He's really been the Swiss Army knife, a guy who went to the MLS Combine, didn't get picked. It's been a good signing early in the year for Pittsburgh. Edge of the roster contention into a can't miss starting 11 kind of guy. That's a Bob Lilly special. Cristiano Francois. Kerr. Spencer gives chase. Up the line for Francois where he's most dangerous. Boscovich. Stepping in, 19-year-old. On his way onto his first professional deal, signed in the middle of March. Will Forbes have a go? Long ball for Brett, held up on the turf. And Julian Dunn handles that well. The race is on. A perfect slide by Luban, who was beaten by pace. It's a corner in the end. Right in front of the Oak Street Brigade.
So important for TFC too, if they're going to find their way back into the game, is to move up the field together, stay connected. Cannot leave Ben Spencer on an island by himself. He can't do the job defensively on his Todd.
Luco Cello in the 18th. Ricochets out in front. And the final touch wasn't there. Lind will collect.
Daniels was at the near post, was trying to flick the ball on. I think he ended up missing the ball completely. TFC2 just didn't get the rub of the green there to find a way to put that one on frame.
Well, Pittsburgh got their members bounce. I think Toronto will find theirs sooner rather than later, all things told. So Toronto FC2 team that has led for a total of 53 minutes this year, including just 2 minutes in their last 5+. What a group still with a lot of potential. One that wanted to take these first 2 months to find where everybody belongs, and then the next 2 months to see if they can't get a group together and really improve as a team. Kerr and Francois covering the same ground. Head by Todd Pratzner. And now another chance for Francois to get forward. Francois lays off, Dover on the front, and the shot is off the crossbar. Quite nearly for Kerr. Pittsburgh probing. Venka Yazil has that knocked away, but it's back to Kerr. Robbed by the crossbar a moment ago. Kerr lofting through, brought down by Luban. Squares, and the chance deflects and comes in easily to Patterson Sewell. It's Venka Yazil who scored once this year. Pushing ahead. And now Toronto trying to counter. Mino plays it through. Chance for Spencer. He widens out. It's a save by Lind. Slaps it aside. Well done by the Penfield, New York native.
Coach appreciated it too. You could hear Bob Lilly saying, well done, Dan. End-to-end stuff. Great moment. They're attacking end for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and a not so great moment defensively for Pittsburgh.
It's always funny when you talk to Bob Lilly, you ask him about his defensive principles and such a great defensive coach, and the first thing he'll correct you on is he'll say, I'm not a defensive coach. They're whipping the ball around the field with a pretty good pace right now, and Toronto, when they've gotten a hold of it, have gotten forward pretty quick themselves. This has been a pretty up-tempo game.
It's been a good match so far.
You would think the record-setting defense in USL history, the Rhinos, and Pittsburgh is 5 shutouts through 6 games trying to equal that. Well, they would call themselves defensive. And Zemansky couldn't put that over the top for Brett.
Well, part of strong defense is actually having possession of the ball and being efficient with the possession that you have. And I think that's what we're seeing from Pittsburgh so far this evening, is that they are a team that moves well off the ball, gets up the pitch together, stays connected. And that way, if you have the ball, your opposition doesn't. If they don't have the ball, they can't score on you. So I think that is part of why Bob Lilly says I'm not a defensive coach, because he's always coaching the movement of the players and the passing of the ball.
Pushing toward the byline, that snuck through toward Spencer. Mino couldn't take away. Well, don't give Francois too much room. Laces through, Nico Brad again! This just wide right and out of play. He's looking for a corner. Nico Brett can taste another hat trick, can he? Just one goal in this one, but he got it so rapidly against Toronto last time around once he figured it all out. Spencer twisting behind Luban.
A lot of composure of Vankia Hazil. Watch the player as he's receiving the ball. Before he receives the ball, he's always turning his head left and right, seeing where the pressure's coming from, seeing where his passing options might be. Coach young players, you're always telling, keep your head on a swivel. Sometimes, though, they just don't understand it. Great to see an example of it in the professional game.
Sought out Kerr this time around. Patterson, Sewell has picked it up.
Spencer did well, surrounded by 3 players there, still able to find a teammate, even though it was a negative pass.
Vankia Hazil this time played it into space and now commits the foul. Nearly 24 minutes gone in Rochester, New York. Marina Auto Stadium. Well, Vankia Hazil's gonna draw a little ire here from the referee. He's done it not once but twice in 20 seconds. He won't get many more warnings at this.
I think Mr. Osmanovic is saying that's your last warning.
Whenever a referee, you see him count, that's when you usually know.
Referee's counting, you're in trouble.
This isn't Sesame Street. The count is not a good thing.
The number of the day is 2 for
You better hope it's not 3. That'll run all the way out.
I was surprised the ref didn't actually speak to Szymanski because he had a very similar grab on that counterattack that Spencer had. Forced the save from Lynn.
You know, over the years, Bob Lilly has picked up a couple guys whose names are a mouthful. You think about the player who scored the game-tying goal in the Eastern Conference Final against New York in 2015, Vasilios Apostolopoulos. Once in a while, he'll track someone down with a lot of consonants and not enough vowels.
Offside flag goes up on the far side. Coming back from an offside position to play the ball.
Knocked aside by Dunn. Flicked up by Forbes, who gets the return ball. Couldn't feed the overlap from Luban.
Laurent Guillot, the head coach for TFC2, asking his team to step up together.
It's Daniels now. It's a wonderful move. Stabbed away. Mino out in the front. It's a nice idea. Have the runner, Spencer, driving toward the post, but it's popped over for a corner.
I think it might have been Roberts there with the clearing header. So important, Spencer was lurking. A couple of good moments in this first half on the attack. There's the ball played over. And the disappointment of Spencer, he had eyes for the goal if that ball had found its way to him.
Shallow header came down from Spencer. This is his 4th start of the year, and he's really, I think, impressed in this game to this point.
He's done a lot better. I saw him play against Charlotte Independence, and frankly, I can understand why. You're going up against defenders like Joel Johnson, who's very fleet of foot. At times, Spencer just didn't look like he wanted any part of the game. So far, he's done a much better job this evening.
So far, really impressed with the 22-year-old native of New Mexico. Johnson showing his pace. Palmed by Lind, it was already out. The defense again from Vanka Yazil.
Johnson is giving Lubin all kinds of trouble. Vanka Yazil had to come across as the help defender. But as Johnson was going down the right channel, Lubin had a handful of his jersey.
Service, Uccello. Got a second bite at this apple. Came right back to him. Launches for the back post. Brought down by Kerr. The step by. Johnson. Falls. Dunn. Trying to get his feet around to it. The slide kept Francois from breaking out, although Francois got the worst of it for sure. Kept away from Aiden Daniels. Brandon Onconi moves forward, takes the throw. Now Spencer knew he was in an offside position.
Better pressure from TFC2 here. Sequence of play.
On a diagonal ball now. Patterson Sewell's got to play out of the back. Spencer, misguided header, Francois. Mino trying to get it up the left channel. Couldn't quite connect.
Watching Vanka Yazil and Szymanski for the Riverhounds. It always seems that the best teams have a good rotation in the middle of the park with the two midfielders that play in that holding role.
Kerr made himself available. Great slide by Daniels. And now Uccello. Lofting over the back line. Can he beat Szymanski? Spencer trying to turn on this. It took a wicked spin off the turf. Really unlucky that that didn't pick up and fly. But now a chance. Mino shifts up the right. And it's knocked away. Uccello getting upfield. Young man with tremendous promise.
Found nicely there. Well done, Roberts, coming across, blocking that one out for yet another corner kick to TFC2. Spencer was at the back post. Again, much better from the Canadian team.
Uccello. That took a hop for Boskovic. Drove it toward the parking lot.
Nicely done by the fans in the back there. Rattling the bouncing ball.
All the action around the USL every Wednesday as the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Jack Blake hosts the Blake Down on the USL YouTube channel.
Johnson. The ball for Johnson. You can hear Laura Dayu imploring Johnson not to stop there. Keep going.
They've done the hard part, which was breaking the pressure of the defensive presence of the Riverhounds. Those short passes followed up by a long pass. Johnson was sprung down the right flank, but just curtailed his run.
Away by Pratzner. And a low-driven ball that spins by Spencer. There are nice offensive sparks from Toronto FC2 in these opening 34 minutes.
Hopefully TFC2 can continue to perform as well as they are performing. It has been a lot more positive. A team with their record quite easily could have just thrown in the towel, conceding that goal in the 13th minute. Working their way back into the game, still making some silly errors as they did there, giving the ball away easily.
Kerr for Forbes. Long-time rivals in this league. Pittsburgh, with a result today, can move within a point of Louisville City, who fell a goal to nil away to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indy. Indy 11. Interestingly, Indy, Pittsburgh, and Louisville can all say that they're off to the best start in their respective franchises' histories. Pittsburgh can move all alone in second on 7 games played if they find 3 points here. For Toronto, a win could be simply massive. Got a ways to go. Kerr breaking through! Another goal for the Pittsburgh legend. And the Riverhounds ahead 2-0.
So well-worked team goal. Ball's played to Kerr. Right foot. Plays the ball off. Wall pass outside of the left peg. Puts it in the back of the net. Patterson saw there. Just says to his back line, thanks, guys. You just hung me out to dry.
Goal in the 36th for Kerr. It's his first and Pittsburgh ahead 2-0.
A little against the run of play. TFC2 finding their way back into the game. Lots of positive things to hang their hats on. And all of a sudden the Riverhounds just pull the hat rack right underneath them.
Lofted over the top with Brett the target. Pratzner arrives. I really moved into the starting lineup out of Xavier for Rochester last year when they switched to a 3-back look. This ball over the top. Didn't need a touch from Luban. On the ensuing service, saved off the line. The follow-up is cleared away by Pittsburgh. Nearly a chance for Toronto to get back into it. And now a ball that's cut out on its way across by Bjornathan. Venky Yazil had the same idea you did. You were pointing crossfield, Matt.
Player open on the right flank, but what a wonderful moment there for the goalkeeper, Lind, and possibly a defender as well. Ball comes across. It might have been Spencer. It was actually Venky Yazil who cleared the ball off. The goalkeeper didn't touch it. That was heading into the back of the net if it wasn't for the number 25 of the Riverhounds.
Dover. Forbes. Dover again. A chance now to serve. On in front, pops up. Dunn keeping it in play. Will that come back to bite them? At least not for the moment. Now a chance to break.
A little lucky there, did Dunn, saving the ball under his own basket. Make sure you clear those ones out of the penalty area.
Francois walking the tightrope. Lind, heavy first touch. Venky Yazil arriving with Forbes to help break that pressure again. Zemansky. A touch from Brett. And maybe a chance here for Spencer to help lead Toronto FC onto the scoreboard. Reaching toward the byline. Ultimately, it's a goal kick.
Strong in the challenge was Pratzner there, positioned himself well.
The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow
41st minute, and Pittsburgh has done their share. Well, with a goal earlier, Kevin Kerr moving up the ranks all time in Pittsburgh Riverhound history. He is now in second place all time in points in his Riverhound career. About time he got a goal. He has 11 chances created, most on the club. 2018, only 1 assist to show for it.
His confidence good as well. He's been in and out of the starting lineup a little bit this season as the club captain.
Francois. Dover, it's a long run. Oh, he did keep that in. Bjornathan knocks it out for a throw.
Great effort from Dover there. Keep that one in. Force Bjornathan to make the play on the ball.
Francois reverses, and Pittsburgh gripping the ball tightly at the end of this first half. Hangs up for Francois. Let's go Rhinos is the cheer in Rochester. Vanka Yazil. Patterson Sewell able to collect. Stadium that opened in 2006. So did the highest level of women's professional soccer in this country through the Western New York Flash. They've hosted the Rhinos, one of the all-time legendary teams in the United States.
The clock will stop at the 45-minute mark. Stoppage time to be kept on the field.
Well, no scheduled stoppage time, according to the fourth official at the present moment. Nino ends up pulling at the back of Canardo Fords.
I like Nino on the ball. He's confident with the ball at his feet, but at times he gets his head down a little bit. Needs to see his passing options more quickly, release the ball more quickly. That way he won't be caught in possession as much as he seems to be. Probably a little unfair to the player, but part of that is also your teammates have to make the movement off of the ball, so you do have some options.
Reach the 45-minute mark. And there's the halftime whistle. Nico Brett scores his 5th of the year. Kevin Kerr scores his 1st. And Pittsburgh feeling right at home away to Rochester. Bob Lilly's side dominant, Matt, in this first half.
Well, they certainly were dominant. They passed the ball well. They moved well. Although TFC2 at times also passed and moved well with the ball. But it wasn't, again, consistent enough. They have to find a way to maintain that performance throughout the whole 45 minutes of the second half.
The Riverhounds have 8 goals this year, 2 in the first half. They've scored 2 in the first half here. Nico Bratt, 4 goals this year against Toronto FC2. Kerr in the 36th. Plenty more coming from Rochester. Halftime is next.
All right, that's enough, you two. Don't paint your brother. No, you can't eat the clay. What can I say? Moms just know. I'm Christine Sorensen, and as a mom, I know parents know a lot. But for the few things we don't know, there's Kidsburg, your go-to resource for all the great things in our area for kids and families. Everything from kid-friendly events, creative learning, and help for parents. It's every Wednesday on KDKA TV, emailed to your inbox and online at kidsburg.org.
It's a new era unleashed at Highmark Stadium for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club. Join the Riverhounds and Allegheny Health Network on May 11th against the Indy 11 for a Mother's Day celebration and Women's Health Night. The first 1,000 women through the door will receive a special Mother's Day card presented by Allegheny Health Network. Visit riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
Ow.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That one a little bit.
A little bit right here?
Yeah, right there.
Well, it looks like we can treat this in just a cast. So is this your first time getting a cast?
Yes.
Does it feel nice?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Rochester, New York. And Marina Auto Stadium, it's the first of 4 games that TFC2 are going to play here this year. And right now, the Riverhounds are the ones that are acting like they're playing on home turf. It's 2-0 Pittsburgh over Toronto at halftime. Alongside Matt Stubbington, Mike Watts, we take a look at the first half highlights. And Toronto created some opportunities in part because they were willing to concede possession and get out in transition. But that meant that Pittsburgh had a lofty amount of possession. They took advantage.
They did. They were a little bit fortunate on the bounce with this. But Brett doesn't make any mistake. Ball bounces kindly to him, lets the ball just spin across his body, and finishes the opportunity with his right foot. Quality effort from Kerr to pull that ball back exactly where he needed to at the penalty spot.
Goal number 5 of the year for Brett. He would have an assist later on in this opening half. But Canardo Forbes in a pseudo homecoming of sorts, driving the ball ahead, getting it wide, and Francois driving, giving it to Dover, and ultimately off the crossbar from Kerr. He'd get a chance again later.
Wood with his left peg. It was a nice opportunity, that one, that just couldn't beat the crossbar. Nino played well in the first half. Needs to release the ball a little bit quicker. Did so well on this opportunity from Spencer. Well saved by Lynn.
Could have been a massive moment there. Could have been level. Instead, Pittsburgh pushing ahead, getting numbers, and Kevin Kerr driving inside, scoring in the 36th. That's long overdue, and the Archer knocks it home.
Frustration for the goalkeeper, Patterson Sewell, as he saw the yellow shirts just drift through the red shirts, untouched. Lovely finish with the outside of the left leg, for Mr. Kerr. Beautifully done, well worked goal. 5 or 6 passes up the pitch. And a really nice team effort there for the Riverhounds.
There's the possession number, especially in this opening half. And look, the shots ultimately ended up about the same. Shots on target were the same. Pittsburgh buried their 2 chances.
They buried their 2 chances, but had also better looks than TFC2. One of the other statistics is passes attempted in the game so far, and TFC2 are 150. The Riverhounds, 363. That is very telling as far as, and what you'd expect with the possession being where it is. But a lot of that possession is in the attacking half for the Riverhounds, and you and I discuss this all the time as far as that possession stat. You got to have possession in your opponent's half, and that's what the Riverhounds are doing.
And of note, Toronto FC2 have not led possession in a game yet this year. Well, it's a nice skyline here in Rochester, and it's good to have professional football back in the USL. Riverhounds and Toronto FC2 at halftime. If you have not seen Jack Blake's Blakedown yet, you aren't going to want to miss it. He always picks the best plays from the week. Sometimes they aren't goals. We'll show you the best goals, too. It all comes up here at halftime of this USL match. Pittsburgh ahead by 2 at the half.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Blakedown. Really excited to analyze the plays of the week this week. We even have an ESPN Sports Center #1 in the top 10. I hope you enjoy.
Great little move there from Cooper, sends it across, it's Jamal Johnson.
The first play from Jamal Johnson here is a goal. If you watch when he picks the ball up, he has almost like a 8 to 10 meter radius around him, and that's created by his movement and his space. You know, he's recognized that when he's going into the box, that he doesn't need to make the first post run, he doesn't need to make the far post run. It's an extremely difficult finish, and it's coming across his body, and he makes extremely good contact on the ball. He uses the pace of the cross and slots it right into the corner.
Have a completely open view of what's happening. Oh my goodness, what a goal!
I don't think there's any doubt as to why this was the #1 on the ESPN Sports Center. It's a very special thing for a player to see a goalkeeper off a line, especially from a goal kick, because he's not expecting the ball to bounce to him, especially the way it bounced to him. So when the ball did bounce to him, I think that he just thinks, why not? And he's just showing everyone there is the technique that he has, but he also showed me what I feel as though is the mentality of a player, which is something that we've not seen yet this season. I think it's fantastic.
Francois takes it away, plays it back, Brett holds, scores!
Yes, what a great pullback.
Francois' defensive play here is what creates the goal. You know, his teammate loses the ball, he takes a bad touch, but he doesn't give up on it, and he persists, and his reaction to the turnover is fantastic. And then Brett can either do one or two things. He can take a touch or he can finish it first time. The defender thinks he's going to take a first time shot, and that's what then allows him to have the composure to relax, take the touch, and it's a great finish.
Manila makes a meal out of that one. Now Ledesma on the breakaway, and it's 3-0 as he chips Maxime Crepeau.
This goal for Cincinnati in the 76th minute is a lot about anticipation for Ledesma. The defender makes a great decision here to play the ball in behind, and when the Ottawa defender makes the mistake, and again he anticipates the mistake, maybe if it was 0-0 at the time and he was going on to win the game or try and win the game, he might have taken a touch close to the keeper. But with the way they were playing, I completely understand why he's taken the first time finish. Thank you for watching the breakdown on week 7. As you can see, some fantastic goals, some fantastic plays, and I've really enjoyed analysing them. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Forward, Wynn. Oh, a misplay in Allen Wynn. Down the right side, cuts it back. Allen Wynn! Fire it up! Allen Wynn strikes! Nashville has the breakthrough!
Hashimoto. Selbel, familiar territory. Selbel shooting from the corner, he put it in! Oh, what a finish!
Low, tapped and in to the back of the net. Sacramento has equalized here in the 57th minute.
You're at least building a philosophy so that
Nomo here for Aguilar, and he rips that shot. A 2-0 lead for New York Red Bulls.
They are off next week and they don't play for 10 days after this one. Going for goal, and how about that strike from 35 yards out?
Verhoeven again, boy, he's really provided a spark. This teenager in the Whitecaps Academy, another long-range shot! You gotta be kidding me! What a goal!
Barbie has Mulligan behind him. We'll go 1v1 versus Adam. Cross comes in towards the back of the box.
Shot taken and a goal by Johnny Abomasi, and we are level in the 56th minute.
But ball kept back in. Astapio chips it far post. Bicycle kick. Goal! Can he trim it? Can he trim it to goal?
Goalkeepers like to have a completely open view of what's happening. Oh my goodness! What a goal! What an absolutely stunning goal!
On the attack again, Partita with the shot, a goal for Kevin Partita, the local from Sparks.
Now, where does it hurt the most when you have it all the way straight?
Down
in
here.
there.
It started really hurting, and it was really hard if I like stood on it.
It's a little patellar tendonitis or jumper's knee is the other thing.
How's that feel?
It feels better.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
All right, that's enough, you two. Don't paint your brother. No, you can't eat the clay. What can I say? Moms just know. I'm Christine Sorensen, and as a mom, I know parents know a lot. But for the few things we don't know, there's Kidsburg, your go-to resource for all the great things in our area for kids and families. Everything from kid-friendly events, creative learning, and help for parents. It's every Wednesday on KDKA TV, emailed to your inbox and online at kidsburg.com.
For more important things, let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Welcome back. There it is, the Kodak building. It always looks better lit up at night or right at dusk. And the Riverhounds have made the most of their trip to upstate New York. A 2-0 lead at halftime with both flags hanging up in the distance. Matt Stubbington alongside Mike Watts with you. Here's the Riverhounds' upcoming schedule, and hopefully they won't compete with the Penguins every time they play right now, but they've got Indy 11 next, part of that Mother's Day celebration that they'll have at home. And then they're away to Tampa Bay, and they'll go see Joe Cole and the gang down in St. Pete.
It's going to be a tough game down in St. Pete. The Tampa Bay Rowdies are a lot better at home than they are on the road. But next weekend against Indy 11, it's going to be a tough matchup. Indy 11 have got a lot of confidence coming out of the win against Louisville City today.
And it's 2-for-1 tickets for that Mother's Day game against Indy 11. So now's your chance to go to get into Highmark Stadium and see the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in person. On the other side, for TFC2, they're going to try and find their first win here tonight. If they can't, they get Penn FC, who not too long ago that looked like a really winnable game, but they just dominated the Rowdies 3-0 in the midweek. It's an 11 a.m. game. It's a bit of a toss-up there. Then ATL UTD2 on May the 16th.
Atlanta United 2, a tough team. They have a lot of stick-to-itiveness about the team. They don't give up. They keep playing all the way through the whole 90 minutes. And you talked about Louisville City losing today. They had a tie against Atlanta United 2 a couple of weeks ago because of the fact that Atlanta United 2 play the entire game and never give up. It's going to be really interesting to see how TFC2 respond this afternoon and then over the next few games.
Here's the upcoming ESPN schedule, all part of a new multi-year agreement for the United States broadcasts of USL games. All regular season games outside of the game of the week on ESPN+. For international viewers, it remains on YouTube. And Fresno FC and Chuck Chancey Park will play host on the 9th of May against RGVFC, and then St. Louis will host Phoenix at what's a real bandbox in Missouri on the 30th, and shortly after that we start to see games on national TV, ESPN News and ESPNU.
Well, it's fantastic for the USL, and deservedly so, being on the national broadcaster ESPN, but there's some real barn burners that are going to be seen. Pointed that one out, St. Louis against Phoenix Rising. That's going to be a real tough match between those two squads. And then Cincinnati with their crowd up there. It's always a fantastic atmosphere and a fun place to go see a soccer match at.
There's Kevin Kerr. He moved past Thiago Martin for most points in team history. Rather, he moved into a tie. David Slavius is, well, he's pretty far out in front. Nico Brett scoring his 4th this year against Toronto FC2, and it was the go-ahead goal in the 12th minute. It was a little bit fortunate.
It was a little bit fortunate. Kerr involved, able to get the ball back towards Brett. It deflected off of the defender. Dunn wasn't able to do anything about it, but look at the patience of Brett, allowing that ball just to spin across his body so that he could finish his opportunity with the right leg. A lot of composure in and around the box does the number 9 have for the Riverhounds.
And for a moment, if you would indulge me, the ESPN deal that now is stretching multiple years all began with a game on ESPN3 in Rochester in October of 2015. The USL Cup final played on ESPN3, a game where LA Galaxy 2 led early. Sonny Samuels becomes a Rochester legend with a couple goals late. You think about all the people involved in upstate New York soccer. Jeff DeVeronica, who writes so wonderfully for the Democrat and Chronicle up in Rochester, and Bob Lilly, what he meant to this city over the course of 6 years. It's fantastic that Toronto FC2 have taken the initiative to play 4 games here this year. They'll play again in June against Indy on the 16th of June, and then they'll host Nashville and Bethlehem in a 2-week stretch in August. And for fans in Rochester, we hope that the Rhinos figure out what they need to figure out financially to make their way back. We know that the Dworkin family has put a lot of effort into making soccer a continued outcome here in upstate New York. And certainly for us as commentators, this Rochester franchise has so much glory associated with its name that we hope professional soccer is here for years and years to come. All that in mind, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, with 7 former Rhinos on the roster, hold a 2-0 lead over Toronto FC2 as we head into the second half.
Interested to see how TFC2 respond to the halftime message from Laurent Guillot. We talked about it during the first half and also at the break. TFC2, they did so many positive things in that first half, but just at the wrong moment they let their guard down, and the Riverhounds were able to make them pay.
by Francois. How about Venka Yazil in that opening half? A guy out of the University of Charleston in West Virginia, a D2 National Player of the Year. And it appears, the way he played that first half at least, another diamond in the rough in the Bob Lilly fortunes. Ball toward Francois, cut out. Dunn knocks it as far as Hugh Roberts.
Venka Yazil has 56 passes in that first half with an 87% accuracy rate.
Finally, Moskowitz stepped in on Dover, who ran that ball up the field all by his lonesome. When you think about the number of passes that Pittsburgh completed in that first half, having 60 passes at this stage in the game is very impressive. Service out in front. It's a rip by Francois where the post meets the crossbar. Looked like he was trying to take the net off the goal itself with that.
Well, the referee just indicated that there was an offside call, so it wouldn't have counted.
Perhaps that explains it, doesn't it?
Well, that's probably why he was so open inside the box, but Patterson Sewell, the goalkeeper, will want his back line to pay better attention to the yellow shirts of the Riverhounds, especially off of the set pieces. Francois again, he had a great opportunity missed though, and that one wouldn't have counted. He had another opportunity earlier in the season that missed from a very similar position.
Francois went down.
Daniels was a little hard done by there to get the goal going against him.
Forbes. Roberts again, who 2 years ago in Richmond was one of the best defenders in the USL. Last year in Bethlehem, split a bit of time with some of the outstanding center back prospects that Bethlehem Steel have among their ranks.
TFC2 have to do a better job of communicating the runs from the Riverhounds into the midfield. See Kerr there coming from very high up the pitch through the lines. The defenders aren't tracking that run, so he's basically going through the midfield line of TFC2 unmarked. And if the communication isn't there.
Forbes for Francois, kicked aside by Patterson Sewell. Foul drawn by Luca Uccello.
Breaking play, try and finish with thought that if those runs come from so deep through the midfield line and the communication isn't there, then the midfield players of Uccello and Mino don't see that run coming. And all of a sudden, Kerr and company are collecting the ball unmarked, unchallenged in the middle of the park. It makes it very difficult for the midfield of TFC2 to be effective.
Kerr laces a through ball out in front. Breck gave it a look. Ball surfaces again in Pittsburgh control in the Riverhound half. Kerr driving, and the run wasn't there from Francois. Patterson Sewell acquired by Toronto FC in a trade with New York Red Bulls for a 2019 fourth-round draft pick, a 30-year-old out of Tennessee who played with John Conway, the current Toronto goalkeeping coach, in his time in New York. Never played with the Red Bulls in MLS, but spent time in Portugal, and a guy who's had tremendous experience overseas and in USL. It's his third start of the year. Francois knows better than to give up a ball in the corner. Mino starting the charge. And now Aiden Daniels. The captain trots ahead. Dover goes one-on-one and wins the ball away from Daniels. Slide by Bjornathan. Francois sprinting through, and Canardo Forbes across the halfway line. Forbes, the game-winning and game-tying assists in that 2015 USL Cup title side. A lone player from that team that was still in Rochester last year. Made the move to Pittsburgh this year. Kerr. Chips for the overlap. Now the cross. Nobody home. Bjornathan as far as Pratzner. Turned over to Daniels, and for Toronto, the best thing they can do is get this ball upfield in a hurry. Instead, it's turned over. Francois out in front. Canardo Forbes lurking atop the six, a corner on the way.
Francois' first touch just let him down there, took him away from the goal. At that point, it was very difficult for him to pass that ball with any authority into the danger area in top of the six. A great intercept by the Riverhounds when it looked like TFC2 were going to start the counterattack on their own.
Kerr. Uccello. The back shoulder of Spencer. Uccello now. Vanke Azil goes in. Guy who's had a couple of early fouls in this one.
Battle between those two. Handful of shirt for Spencer. Tripped up in the end by Vanke Azil.
On the free kick. Easy defensive work for Pittsburgh. Following ball finds Lind, and what stood out to me in that replay wasn't necessarily the handful of shirts, that 3 Riverhounds all converged on the same point. That's Pittsburgh in a nutshell.
Defensively, they've had a lot more presence than TFC2. Been more successful putting players around the ball, and you see really at the moment, again, TFC2 are a little bit passive in the way that they are playing defense.
The sprint from Onconi. There's space to exploit there now. Dunn going after. Venka Yazil. Up to the byline. Back for Francois.
Watch to get exclusive video content.
Good movement in the box for Francois going to the near post.
Follow the league's official Instagram account at
Ball pulled back. I think it was by Lubin. Did a good job on the cross. If I was being picky, I'd say that ball should have been played on the ground, but it was a good opportunity. We see the foul there. Easy call for the ref. Pratzner grabbing the shoulder of Malik Johnson.
Bounces away from Francois.
Ball was on the foot of the goalkeeper. Ocala was asking for the ball right in the middle of the pitch. Keeper went for the long clearance. Understand why he made that choice, but if you go short, play the ball to feet, maybe Ocala can then find somebody in a red shirt in conjunction 2 feet with a little less pressure on them. Easy to control those balls and those long clearances where you're battling for the first and second touches.
Not enough on that. Now Daniels pushing ahead. He's got Spencer on his left. Daniels will have a go! Daniels trying to do it himself. Why not? It was a nice effort. Just shy of the hour mark.
Trying to put the game on his shoulder. Turn Roberts one way and then the other. Able to create the lane for the shot with the right leg. Drifted past the upright. A bit of a wake-up call there for the Riverhounds. Can't rest on their laurels. We've seen Pittsburgh as well have some great opportunities in the second half. They haven't put in the back of the net. You know as well as I do the old adage of the 2-goal lead in the game of soccer.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head at me.
I am. I am. I think it's an overused trope. The 1-goal lead, I'm sure, is lost far more often than the 2-goal lead. It's just a thought.
Well, I know that you're right. It's just from a coaching perspective.
You turn it off, and then you can't, once the spigot's been turned off. Forbes for Kerr, head on a swivel, turn. Brett has it bounce out to Francois. Dover overlaps. Back to Dover, who's on the inside of Bjornathan, drops off for Francois. And there's no return to be had there. It was a heavy first touch.
Good defensive work there. It started off with Boskovic in the middle of that defensive line for TFC2, standing tall, filling the passing lanes. And Bjornathon, the left fullback, in the end, able to come away with the ball.
Okello got it ahead. Uccello Well, it's another good look for Toronto FC 2. They're getting ever closer over these last few minutes.
Becoming more dangerous on the counterattack. Lovely dummy by the referee. Ball finds the foot of Ocello. The movement of Spencer there opened up the shooting opportunity for his teammate. But again, TFC2 cannot put it on target.
Their conversion rate coming into the game, statistics are what they are. 4.8%, lowest in the Eastern Conference. And of course, Los Angeles was in that same neck of the woods going into their game yesterday against Phoenix Rising. They scored 3 goals in the first 30, 40 minutes.
That was a heck of a game.
There was thirsty Drogba from the penalty spot. Jason Johnson bags a brace. And all is right in Scottsdale and Phoenix, Arizona, all of a sudden.
Johnson's really come to a fore with that club. He spent a lot of time coming off the bench last year. Was used as a spark to get things going by Coach Carteron. As important as Drogba is for Phoenix Rising, I'd say Johnson is equally as important, perhaps in different ways than the great man himself.
Quite. Not being as gifted, you know, doesn't make you any less important sometimes in the way a team operates. And notably, yesterday, Joe Farrell, who was a Rookie of the Year finalist and an all-USL player in Rochester, made his Phoenix Rising debut yesterday against Galaxy 2. Of course, the center back watches 3 goals go in. Probably wasn't part of the plan. Ocello got it ahead. Ocello now. There's room here on the left. Johnson cutting, shooting again. This post has just been 2 feet to the right. Otherwise, it's in now 3 times. Change on the way. Kunle Dadaluk comes on. And Ben Spencer comes off, and I thought this was a strong performance from Spencer.
I've seen him a couple of times this season. I think this was a better performance by Mr. Spencer. Didn't drop his chin as I saw him do against the Independents earlier on in the season, which from a coaching perspective just drives you absolutely nuts. His effort this evening was good throughout. Probably will feel that he didn't get the service that he needs to be successful, but I think much improved, and if he keeps going in that vein, then that's all you can ask for as the head coach, is your players keep improving.
Brett. Dover has to play back. A lot of the time last year, Bob Lilly's team went to a 3-back look with Pratzner dropping in. He's starting at center back tonight for Pittsburgh. But rather than 3 backs, it's a 4-back look, and you see a really adept passer, Van Cunyasil, move into that 3rd, almost center back role when they're in possession.
He does, and the reason, well, 2 reasons for that. One is it gives the freedom for those outside backs to go forwards, creating width.
At the byline, that got out. It'll be a goal kick here, but certainly we've seen both fullbacks, Dover especially, get ahead.
I just saw Lubin there as well. So if both fullbacks go at the same time, then you need that player in front of the back too, to just funnel things away from the defensive area. But then Vanko Sul can then come back defensively, help out, maintain the integrity of the back line, but also he becomes an option on the pass, creates some width himself, creates some options, and it's also improves or increases the space in the midfield as well. So that those dropping runs that we've seen from Kerr, Forbes, et al. That are creating so many problems for TFC2 this evening.
Uccello, Pratzner. Throw coming for TFC2. It's on Coney. That'll get out on the far side.
Frustration there from Daniels. Turned really nicely, opened up the space for himself to pass the ball out to the right flank, and then just kicks it straight out of bounds for the throw-in. And one of those moments of the little things make the difference.
Substitution in the 68th minute.
Matthew Serbel will come on. Luca Cello was about 1.5 feet away from bagging a goal. This is a Toronto team that's been outscored in the second half of games, 7-0 on the season, and you get one and you do wonder how it would change the dynamic here.
I think with the 1-goal lead from a team perspective, you're a lot more apprehensive. And the 2-goal lead, you know, we mentioned the old adage, and you have at times a false confidence as a team that you're comfortable on that lead and become nonchalant. And I think that's what coaches are so guarded against, is your team not being engaged in the game sufficiently enough. If you only have a 1-goal lead, guaranteed that you're engaged in the game and switched on. If you do concede that 1 goal when you're up by 2, and sometimes the panic then sets in and 1 can become 2, maybe 3, and you end up losing the game. As players at this experience and this level, you would be very surprised if that happened.
Forbes, right place, right time. Couldn't take it away from Serbel. Forbes and Serbel tussling up the touchline. Play on. Finally, the ball comes unglued from that far touchline. Vanka Yazil. Here comes Dover. Bounces out in front, a back heel effort. Falls just short from Nico Brett. Never got any pace on it.
A cross coming in from Dover was deflected at the last moment by the captain, Daniels. A little bit of improvisation from Brett, didn't come off.
Pratzner recovers as Malik Johnson chased it down. And Pittsburgh will go to the bench. Joe Holland will make his 4th appearance this year, the former first-round pick of the Houston Dynamo, a guy who a bit unlucky with the international rules. Native of London. And that's enough for Ben Zemanski. Made his 4th start of the year. Brett against Dunn. And the strong-willed center back was able to get it away for a moment. Kerr wide. Brett arriving. Brett looking now. Forbes for Brett. Onconi stepped in admirably. Lofted ball cut out by Hugh Roberts, who's had a strong evening at center back.
I'd like to see the pass from Mino out to Daniels, lead his captain a little bit more down the pitch. And Mino at times might just holds onto the ball 1 or 2 touches too long for my taste.
Kunle. Clean from Roberts. Lind in pursuit of his 4th clean sheet of the year, bombs away. Holland on the ball.
Different pace at the top now. Dara Luke putting the back line. Roberts under a lot of pressure there. Number 6 for the Riverhounds did really well to stay goal side. Alec Johnson has moved into the center forward role, vacated by Spencer.
Holland not on the same page. Patterson Sewell. Kunle Dadaluk again. Turned it over, and Holland on the ball for Pittsburgh. Looking to wrap up the 4th win of the year and a 7th consecutive unbeaten result to start the 2018 season. Ball for Bjornathan, slid away by Pratzner. There's room for Cristiano Francois, special athlete, gliding toward the goal. Nico Brett wanted the ball at his feet. And I'm not entirely sure that Francois didn't split the baby there.
Maybe an extra touch, he would have had the opportunity to shoot. Try to split the back line with a pinpoint pass that didn't come off.
Wonderful ball upfield. Kunle trying to go through. Couldn't hit Serbal, who scored against New York Red Bulls 2 in the opener.
Appreciative handshake there from Roberts because of the positioning of his partner in the center back position of Pratzner. Shielding the ball so his goalkeeper come and get it.
Mino picks Holland's pocket. Mino continuing, he'll shoot! Time and time again, they just missed the left post.
Well, he didn't hold the ball too long on this occasion. Great skill from number 88, strong on the ball. Lovely little touch to create the angle on the shot across his body. So difficult to get that one on frame, falling away from his target. Just puts it past that left-hand upright for the 4th time this half by the TFC2 team.
This is going to sound so very obvious. No team finishes with a conversion rate under 4%. It's just It would be one of the great statistical anomalies of our time. Eventually, some of these have to go for TFC2.
I think that's the positive thing, and for the team, the performance has been a lot better than I'd seen in the earlier parts of the season, and which is a positive thing, but they are starting to and continuing to create opportunities for themselves.
Holland started it on Coney, pushing, no whistle, neither inside nor outside the box. Forbes stole it away. Serbol gave chase, and now Kerr drives. Francois. There's room for Dover to explore.
How there wasn't a free kick given on that, I do not know. Looked like Holland was having his shorts tugged to his ankles as he was trying to get into the penalty area.
Flag is up. Sean Hundal is waiting to come on. Away from Brett. And that'll get out. Gaiu wanted to get going. Instead, a change on the way. Hundal will come on. He comes on as an attacking threat. The attacking threat has been pretty good this half. They've just all been a little bit left to center.
Just haven't been able to find the back of the net. Uccello, Johnson, and Mino have all hit the ball to the left-hand side of the goal as we look at it. Again, the positive thing for TFC2 is they are creating the chances. The negative is that they're not finding the back of the net or testing the goalkeeper.
Hundal really scored late in the season for Toronto, but he hasn't scored yet this year. His fourth appearance, second off the bench, and they're hoping he can figure it out. And if you really want to know about Toronto, Waking the Red is a great place to look, and they had a great comment about Daniels from Gaiu, the head coach. They want multiple captains, multiple voices leading the way, not just one. Daniels, the captain's armband today for a TFC2 side that's looking for a lot of voices to help lead this team for what's been a dark USL history. Daniels swerving that in, and Lind is down in a heap. And it's really concerning because Dan Lind, well, he's as Rochester as they come.
I think the look on his face in the collision tells all the picture. 50-50 ball there, both players committed to it.
It's really concerning stuff here. Lind played at Pitt, 3-year starter there, won all of 8 games. This year, 4 starts, 2 goals allowed, both in a draw to Cincinnati. And you think about Pittsburgh, they did not dress Kyle Morton. But Pittsburgh, over these last couple of years, have gotten to the point where they're even under Dave Brandt last year, begging to get goalkeepers. They were just really thin at the position. Hunter Gilstrap retired and as the goalkeeping coach. Another look at this collision.
It was Dunn coming in, trying to win the header. And aside from the injury, it's fantastic goalkeeping. Decisive punch, 2 hands to it. Clears the ball out of the penalty area. Knee to the mid-drift. Hopefully, it just knocked the wind out of Daniel Lin. And he'll be okay to continue.
Certainly hope so.
Up on his feet, seems to be okay. Not a good feeling when you can't catch your breath.
Mike Kirk, the native of Mechanicsburg in Pennsylvania, is the available backup. A guy who played at LaSalle alongside Joe Farrell. For Joe Farrell's father, for the Explorers, spent last year at RGV. Surely they weren't planning to make a goalkeeping move, and Lind will continue on.
Good sportsmanship from Dunn, the player who collided with Lind, making sure that the keeper was okay and apologizing.
Ball in line with Hundal. Hundal continuing. Daniels lays it across. Johnson had his angle cut out, and his Baldamino intercepted.
Good job by Van Gersel to step in, win the ball. And the Riverhounds doing a really good job of closing down those passing lanes so TFC2 cannot exploit anything into the penalty area. All of the chances that the team in red have been pretty much outside of the 18.
Holland leading up the left side. It's their chance here for Pittsburgh to add to the lead. Kerr, his first goal of the year this evening for Pittsburgh, away from home. Forbes to Dover. Mino clearly looking gassed, trying to catch up. Dover making his run. Tries to square across. He'll have another look. Francois out wide. Forbes switching sides to come to the ball. It does feel like Canardo Forbes has the license to go anywhere on the field. Francois takes on his man Daniels. Van Yazil for Forbes. Kerr leading up the left-hand side, back from Luban. Forbes into the left-hand corner. Holland serves. Brett pops it up. Patterson Sewell handles.
All right, fans, if you picked up a raffle ticket in the Irondequoit Soccer Club raffle,
TFC2 there, really up against it. Jonathan looked gassed, Mino looked gassed, but they dug deep, forced the play back from the left back position. Still can get the ball. Had to watch it as it was switched from their left to their right. And then Oconee couldn't stop the cross. He got flat-footed. In the end, the header was an easy save for the goalkeeper, Patterson Sewell.
Holland approaching the byline, cuts it back. Forbes robbed by Patterson Sewell.
Coney again gets flat-footed here. Mike gets beat to the end line by Holland. Great save by the goalkeeper at the near post.
Toby Adewale set to come on. And Kevin Kerr scoring in the 36th and doubling this lead.
Well, the Red Sea parted. It was a great team goal. Finished beautifully with the outside of the left foot by Mr. Kerr. 5 or 6 passes up the pitch. Zemensky finding Kerr. Kerr finding Brett. Brett with the return ball. One time, left foot. Beautiful finish.
Kerr out, Adewale on. Well, you'd have to say a bit of a defensive move here. Brett outside. Holland works on Coney. Holland again nearing the byline. Trying to poke it back inside the 6-yard box. Came up short.
Better positioning that time from Oconee. The last two attacks down that left flank for the Riverhounds. Oconee got flat-footed and was beaten easily to the byline by Holland. That time the defender was on his toes, more easily able to move his body, and consequently TFC2 keep possession of the ball.
TFC2, 28 players used this year, most in the USL to this point. Team playing 6 of his first 8 at home. Even then, the schedule hasn't been so kind. Weather struggles and simply trying to put it all together. Bjornathan crossing beyond the back post. Holland will chase. Hundahl with very fresh legs. Shrugs him off. Hundahl has shown glimpses over the years in USL of being really special. Hundahl was offside this time. Although Lind looked pretty calm, having that ball come in and sting his hands after that earlier knock.
Certainly recovered from that collision. Good to see. That was a close call. I thought Hundahl was pretty even as that ball went through.
The story of Lind in goal is the story of Pittsburgh to an extent. Now, under Bob Lilly, the story of Rochester while he was there. Guys waiting their turn, guys getting the opportunity and running with it. Guys that maybe you hadn't heard of, the local guys. Lind coming back to Rochester on the verge of pitching a clean sheet for the 4th time in his 5 starts. Here comes Dover. Dover all the way through! And it's knocked up and over by Patterson Sewell.
A little bit of a mazy run by Dover. Fatigue setting in. Boskovic was really struggling. Dover gone across the face of the goalkeeper with a shot. Instead of blasting it right at him, it would be 3-0 right now.
Joe Holland drives over Francois. Dover heads a one-hopper. Patterson Sewell on the ball again. The lone unbeaten in the USL on the verge of holding the title. A 4-0-3 start through 7 games would put them 2nd in the conference. Ball across Bjornathan. Away from Johnson. Francois gave chase. Mino. Hundahl! Toronto gets one in stoppage time. It's Hundahl. No clean sheet tonight for Pittsburgh away to Rochester.
Well, I thought Mino had held onto the ball a little bit too long again. There was a run by Serbal that opened up the lane. Mino knew what he was doing. He picks out Hundahl at the back post, delivers the ball on a plate. And Hundahl says, thank you very much, I can finish that one.
Hundal in the first minute of stoppage time, his 14th USL goal in his 53rd USL game.
Entering the match is number 8, Vicky Goodman, replacing number 11, Canardo Forbes.
Vicky Goodman will come on, and Canardo Forbes walks off. A Rhinos legend, a Rhinos hero. All USL player for Rochester, 3 years. Calling the Rhinos his home squad. And for Forbes, it's an incredible moment to be able to come home. He won the 2015 USL Cup with his pinpoint service, stripping Los Angeles Galaxy 2 of a title at the death. It's Goodman's first appearance for the Riverhounds. Throw for Toronto. There was a sub here in stoppage time, so they may get a look or two here. Try and find a late equalizer and get a point. It would be massive for Toronto. The game that large in part Pittsburgh has controlled.
The referee was indicating as he was waiting for the sub to come in that he was going to add additional time.
Up the line. It's full time. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds go away to Rochester. Bob Lilly, same as it ever was. 3 points. They're undefeated still, the longest streak in the USL this year. And they're second in the Eastern Conference, knocking off Toronto FC 2 2-1.
Well, a competent performance by the Riverhounds, which is what you would expect from a Bob Lilly squad. Really good passing, really good movement. TFC 2 have some things to hang their hats on. But it's the Pittsburgh team that come out on top tonight.
Nico Brett scores in the 12th minute. Kerr in the 36th. Hundal closes the gap, but it's not enough. The Riverhounds a winner. We'll wrap it up when we return.
It's a new era unleashed at Highmark Stadium for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club. Join the Riverhounds and Allegheny Health Network on May 11th against the Indy 11 for a Mother's Day celebration and Women's Health Night. The first 1,000 women through the door will receive a special Mother's Day card presented by Allegheny Health Network. Visit riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Ow.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That one a little bit.
A little bit right here?
Yeah, right there.
Well, it looks like we can treat this in just a cast. So is this your first time getting a cast?
Yes.
Does it feel nice?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
All right, that's enough, you two. Don't paint your brother. No, you can't eat the clay. What can I say? Moms just know. I'm Christine Sorensen, and as a mom, I know parents know a lot. But for the few things we don't know, there's Kidsburg, your go-to resource for all the great things in our area for kids and families. Everything from kid-friendly events, creative learning, and help for parents. It's every Wednesday on KDKA TV, emailed to your inbox and online at kidsburg.org.
Well, sometimes we joke about it that Pittsburgh could be the River Rhinos this year. And, well, Bob Lilly's team goes away to Rochester, a neutral site game, one of 4 that TFC2 are going to play here in upstate New York this year and pick up a 2-1 victory. And it's a good performance for Pittsburgh as they move to 4-0-3 on the year. And they are now on 15 points, a point behind Louisville atop the Eastern Conference. Matt Stubbington with me, Mike Watts with you here this evening. We take a look at our full-time highlights, and Bob Lilly's team from the outset had some trouble with Toronto, but they got that goal in the 12th minute, and it changed everything.
It did. TFC2 came out with a lot of energy, which was good to see, but in the end, it was finishing in the box. And it was a good pullback here by Kerr. A little bit fortunate to get the deflection off of Dunn onto the foot of Brett. But Brett, he's not going to make any mistake there, finishing his 4th goal of the season against TFC2.
The man's an assassin against the Canadian sides. Meanwhile, a lot of positives from Mino in this game. He gets it through, and Spencer unable to get the finish.
And unfortunate there from Spencer. Had a much better game tonight. Did number 19 for TFC2, forcing a great save from Lynn. And then this was a great team goal. Movement up the pitch, passing, and then finishing with the outside of the foot was Kerr. All started with the pass from Venkat Azil. He found Szymanski, and Kerr finds Brett, who lays it off perfectly. And the veteran has no problem putting that one past Patterson Sewell.
Ties him with Thiago Martin, 2nd all-time in Riverhounds points with the goal. Pay that man his money. He's always good for it. Pittsburgh, however, would have some troubles in the 2nd half. But there were 4 shots that rang just wide of this left post, Matt.
That was, again, positives that TFC2 can hang their hats on in this match. They had the chances, they created the opportunities, but they couldn't find the right side of the net. And Malik Johnson just putting it left of the upright again. But the Riverhounds, they kept TFC2 hanging around the second 45 minutes. The Riverhounds had a lot of chances themselves to build on that scoreline. A little bit of improvisation there, the confidence of the man, Brett, wasn't able to get that one past the goalkeeper. And Mino, he had a good game. Great movement from Serbal, creates the opportunity for the passing lane. And then the ball was served up on a platter at the back post. Great run from Hundal, and he puts it into the back of the net to make things interesting for the last 2 minutes of the game.
That in the 1st minute of stoppage time, but there wouldn't be another opportunity to be had. Lind will have to settle to allow a goal, but pick up his 2nd win between the pipes this year in 5 starts. Here are the full-time stats. Possession did not really change a lot, and if you're Toronto, they had to chase a little bit, but they had really good chances in this 2nd half. I don't think they're going to be winless for long if they keep playing like that.
Well, the improvement that I've seen on them throughout this early part of the season is impressive. Players like Spencer, he keeps getting better and better, and if the players keep doing that, the team keeps doing that, Laurent Guillaume's squad will not be winless for much longer.
Toronto will host Penn FC on Wednesday at 11 a.m. next. The next game here in Rochester for TFC2, they'll host Indy 11 on June the 16th. And for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, their next match against that Indy 11 side, a one that just knocked off Louisville City at Lucas Oil Stadium, Friday, May 11th. 2-for-1 ticket special for Mother's Day. And, well, Pittsburgh hoping to pick up another result and keep this wonderful run going.
There's no reason why not. They should. I mean, you see Coach Lilly there keeps on coaching even though the game is over, giving the instructions to the squad, teaching the lessons. And I can imagine that this team will keep going forwards and maybe maintain this unbeaten run for a lot longer.
Bob Lilly has never missed the postseason in 17 years as a coach, and so far so good at the quarter pole for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They move into 2nd with the win in Rochester over Toronto. For producer Ava Ponte, Dean Nevins, and our entire team in Rochester, Matt Stubbington alongside Mike Watts, saying so long. Rex the Rhino lives on. He dances as Brett and Kerr have the goals. Lilly, a homecoming victory. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.